Minecraft villages are boring. We recently expanded out to our medieval region, and now it's time to transform this Minecraft village into the beautiful city of Whitebridge. So sit back, relax, and subscribe, and let's get started. All right, guys, so the first thing we got to do to make our village over there in Whitebridge, you can just barely see it right there. We got to make a path. You know, we be traveling by horse for the most part. I actually don't know where my horse is at right now, but he's somewhere out here, right? Right? Somewhere. But anyways, we got to make our paths going out to Whitebridge. Right now, we got a path out here going towards the cyberpunk city. Then we got one coming over here to Dig Duel. Another path right here going out to our fishing village, and of course one going right through Barce Ranch. But yeah, I think we just gotta kickstart this. We just gotta jump right into it. So let's get making on this path. We're gonna connect it all the way up over there to Whitebridge, and yeah, I guess let's just cue the montage. Is that my horse? Is that my horse up there? I have been missing my gray leathered horse for so long. Not even so long. I just don't know where I put him. I have a feeling he might have just like climbed up one of these mountains, you know, because Minecraft be quirky like that. Are you my child? Oh no, you don't have the horse armor on. Hi horsey, would you happen to know where my horsey went? Oh man, I kind of miss having a horse right now, and he was a fast one too. I don't know where he went. Anyways, we have finished our path connecting all the way up to the, you know, about approximately the area that we'll be building our medieval village in over by Whitebridge. And it, you know, it's nice and pretty basic like all the other paths. We can get a little aerial shot right here. Boom. Yeah, look at that. Nothing too crazy. Just kind of cutting through the terrain, a little bit of the forest right there. And it kind of ends right behind that little big tree there. I think it looks pretty sick. And I was thinking about it. These paths, like the paths themselves are pretty boring, but at least it's interesting, you know, it's a little dirt path cutting through all the grass here. But I think we do need to add a little bit more kind of like sightseeing spots for like when you're going through the path, kind of like how I did with the birch forest over there and like the Dig Duel building over here, and I guess technically the ranch as well. These are all kind of like sightseeing spots. There's something going on while you're traveling, and it feels like it's a bit more lived in. So I kind of want to do something, I think like a little waterfall right here would look really cool. And then I also really want to make another kind of farming area, but a bit more medieval, kind of towards where those pumpkins are over there. Maybe even in this little lower section here. Just make it a really nice like medieval house here, and then having a big open like wheat field and maybe like a windmill. Just like a little farming area where we can kind of keep in touch with the country kind of vibe that we have out in this open area of the valley. And then eventually we'll work our way into the forest here. And actually, there's something I want to tell you guys. So for every sub that I get this video, I'm going to plant a tree. And not plant a tree, more accurately, to build a tree. Oh, wait, my horse! Oh my god. Oh my god, this is so exciting. Okay, last episode, we made this beautiful tree here to kind of help establish what our custom forest over in this big open valley is going to kind of be like. So for every sub I get this video, yes, just a regular subscriber, I will be planting a tree in your honor. And if you become a member, your tree will be labeled with a little sign, and it'll be like, thanks for becoming a member, and it'll have a little sign right there for you. So if you ever like end up downloading the world in the next world download, you can come out to this forest and find your tree. So for every sub I get this video, I will be building a custom tree. And if you become a member, you'll get a tree named after you. All right, anyways, I found Horsey. Yay! I forgot I left him here because this is where I ended the last episode. I made this tree and then I ended right here. So it makes sense for him to be hanging out by these ruins. So anyways, I think before we make our nice little country house here, medieval country house, I think we should come over here and make a little terraforming project. Nice little waterfall and some stone faces on this little hill here. I always thought this hill was kind of awkward and I was debating on getting rid of it, but I think it works because it has a cool reveal for this bridge. I mean, obviously you can already see it here, but when you come around this corner and you face it head on, you get a lot more of the scale of this bridge. So I think it's a really nice like kind of revealing framing kind of thing. I don't know. I want to definitely like terraform this whole little mound to have a little bit more like interest, because I mean the whole rest of the valley is just grass blocks, you know, and a lot of brown and green. All right, let's do a little bit of speed terraforming together, and we'll gather some blocks for this real quick. All right, actually, I take that back. No speed building. I might have accidentally not recorded my audio for a few clips I just freaking recorded. So we're going to go back in time and we're going to enjoy the build that I actually did make right here. Look at it. So this little mountain here actually went through 2 different iterations, and the first one was me just freehanding the mountain, and I felt pretty good about it, but there was something missing from the mountain, so I ended up using the Axiom mod. If you guys are unfamiliar with the Axiom mod, it's a really good like terraforming, world editing mod, super useful, super advanced, and very technical. The usefulness of this mod is unmatched, man. The mountains I ended up making with Axiom looks super cool. But of course, if you want to learn more about the design philosophy I went through on making this build, make sure to become a member, because there are now going to be behind the scenes videos about my creative process and my inspirations and more of the technicality of it. So if you want to learn more about my individual builds, join as a channel member. Now that we've seen that little mountain I made right here, this little mound, there's another build that I actually have already made, and I recorded all the footage for it. And there's no audio, of course. So, I mean, you already know it. I was going to make a little country home right in front of where I am looking, but you can't see. You can't see that. So, I guess we'll just kind of cue the montage. Luckily, I did record all the, all the replay mod footage. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the montage. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that little montage. I literally just did that transition like 3 seconds ago. Man, the amount of footage I have recorded and now it's all spoiled. Okay, well, anyways, here is our first medieval build, and I'm super happy with how this turned out. And of course, in that same members only video that I alluded to earlier, I will be also talking about the creative process on this build. But of course, I'm gonna give a little bit of a shout out right here to this roof design and the roof palette to Mr. Matt Ranger and JP Core. They have a really cool roof design they did in one of their builds that I found on Pinterest and Instagram, and I kind of copied it because I really liked how it looked. It really kind of fits with the whole medieval theme. I'll go over the gradient really quickly because it's freaking awesome. So you got the oak planks right there as like the brightest of the brights. Then you go into the jungle wood and you go into granite, and then the rest of it's all brick. And then of course a little dash of terracotta is always a really nice touch to, kind of break up the whole brick texture. But yeah, it's very detailed. This is super detailed. I'm really happy with how it looks. It has a lot of the medieval elephants with like a lot of the structural support of like wood, a lot of wood framing, and down here at the bottom, we kind of kept it very white themed, because we got white bridge. So all the medieval builds are going to be very light in their palette, very bright. And I think they'll look really cool. I mean, a lot of them are going to be very similar to how this looks. We'll do a bunch of different roof designs, of course, but I definitely want to incorporate more of these ones. And we'll obviously go like maybe deep slate, or we can get a little funky, maybe do some blues, or even maybe a bit more red. Not sure, but there's a lot of options for our roofs, and I think they all should look fairly different from each other, because I think that's a nice way of coloring a village. But of course, in typical Barce fashion, there's no interior. No interior whatsoever. I'll get to it, at one point. This building's not really like supposed to be specifically useful. It's more like an eye candy, like this mountain is over here. This building's more meant to just kind of catch your attention and be like, oh, someone lives out here. So eventually we'll kind of expand out our ruins over here that we made a few episodes back, and we'll kind of slowly bring out more of those elements out until this area, just because I want it to feel like you are officially transitioning into our medieval area here. Like, check this out. So when we're riding on horseback, when we come around this corner here, look at that. Look at this reveal. Like, this reveal is so perfect. Like, it's a really good framing. I didn't even intend for this mountain to work so well, but it does. It works so perfectly. So right when you come around the corner, it's like you're hit with a whole new wave of, hold up, this is a whole different area. And it's all medieval themed. That's our whole plan with this area. So this house is kind of like the first introduction, a little hint at White Bridge. Now, of course, I really want to kind of give a little bit more purpose to why this exists here. It's allowed to exist here on its own, you know, but we need to add a little bit more world building to it. So like a little path here, kind of leading up. I think a little bit of like a garden right here, and I think a big wheat field all the way kind of covering this whole area here, kind of coming out to right about here, and maybe throwing in another windmill would look really cool because that would really, you know, it would give reason to why this house is out here. It's like a rancher's kind of house, you know, very similar to what we did over here with our Perry the Platypus ranch house. That one's all, you know, horses, cows, and sheep. This one will be more like a wheat field for crops. So I think this would look really cool with a big wheat field out here, and a windmill would look sick. But before we jump to that, I actually want to work a little bit more on the village area that we are going to be tackling as our main build for this episode. So cutting through the forest here, we need to start clearing out a lot of the trees around here. This is a very dense forest, and this village resides right in the middle of it. Look at this. So I think we should clear out a bunch of these trees. Just kind of circling around these 3 pillars is going to be kind of the base, the center of our village, if you will. So a little spin on this horse here, and our village is all cleared up and ready for us to start building. I shoved all of the villagers in this little pillar here. Hi guys. I want my leaf block back actually. Oh my god. So I threw all their beds in there so they actually would end up going in here. Now they're all out of the way. Oh, except this guy. And I also got to tear down this house because, you know, I had to keep it for the transition, you know. I can't just get rid of the house. But now it's gone. Let's start planning out where we're going to be putting stuff in this village. So the first thing we need to do is establish where we're going to have paths at and where we're going to have houses at. So I brought a bunch of wool, fancy looking wool, and I guess we'll use yellow wool to kind of plan out the paths. And we do need a town square. Where should the town square be at? I mean, I guess it would make sense for it to kind of be somewhere in this area right here. I think this is actually a nice spot for it. Yeah, we could flatten out this terrain a little bit too. Okay. Yeah, there we go. A little bit more room to put a house here maybe. And then we could also go wrap around this pillar, but I kind of want to focus more on this. Oh, kitty! Kind of want to focus more on this side because I did clear out more over here. I did initially say it would just be the one pillar we're gonna like focus our whole area on, but I think 2 pillars is like a good amount of room to actually make it feel like a village. So we can also fork off this path here and continue going up and around this way. There we go. That all connects up there. I'm liking these paths so far. It's got a lot of character. Okay, so I think right by this pillar here, I think it'd be pretty cool. I think we're gonna move this path over just a little bit. I think it'd be pretty cool to have kind of a little bit of a row of houses. We could call we could have like this side and this side both be kind of like just multiple houses kind of stacked next to each other. A little similar to the Italian village we have on like the city side, like the streets a little bit more. So I'm just gonna, let's see what we can kind of pull off here. Right, okay, let's see how this kind of feels coming through here. I think this is actually like a perfect kind of size. I'm imagining them being a little taller. Obviously, they're going to be kind of in the theme of that house over there. So I think for now, we'll just work on these like 6 buildings here because mostly I just need to make facades and not really a whole building for these. And I really want to try to kind of establish the feel of what this area is going to be like. So I kind of want it to feel a little dense, a little crowded, but there'll be some more open areas, I think, kind of towards like the back left area over here. I think we'll have a few more houses kind of, you know, still kind of stacked like how these ones are, but a bit more open, obviously, because they're not like shoved up against the pillars here. All right, so the first thing we got to do is do a little bit of terraforming, just kind of flattening out a lot of this area right here, and also getting rid of all these stupid, ugly path blocks. All right, now I think we should start on the town square here. Now typically in medieval fashion, I think it's pretty common to have like cobblestone or like stone kind of flooring throughout the whole city. So I'm just gonna clear out a nice little square rectangle kind of shape out here. Actually, I know I just filled in all the terrain here, but now I'm tearing it all up because I realized that I think I want to have stone floors as like the main path throughout the whole city as well, which means I'm about to grab a lot of stone bricks. All right, all the effort I just put into clearing out all this terrain, it's now been reverted, of course. But now that we got this all cleared out, we get a better understanding of how big our town square is going to be, and I think this is actually like the perfect size. It's got a nice little shape to it too. It's not just a perfect little rectangle or square. Then we'll be cutting through this little alley here, and then we'll be turning left. And I kind of stopped it right here because I'm not sure how I want to continue the path exactly, because I do have it a bit more fluid going around this way, so I might convert to like a dirt path of some sort. We can work on that when it comes to it, but I want to start working on the main town square area before we start touching these buildings. So I'm really excited to work on these buildings. But first, we must sleep. So the floor design here is actually quite interesting. I'm going to be kind of doing a sort of brick texture. I guess, yeah, I can look at these bricks right here. So I kind of want to do a big brick texture on the floor, and then on these little indents where it's darker and it's like the grout or whatever, I want to use stairs to kind of represent that. So if I do something like this kind of, and then we go like right here, and we do the same thing. You can kind of see it right here. It's a little hard to tell, but you get the idea of it, of course. It's just going to be a simple brick texture, and using the stairs, we can kind of manipulate how the bricks and the grout looks. And of course, we'll come back through with all of our other variations of bricks in our inventory. But yeah, this is a good example of what I'm kind of thinking for the floor. And what's nice too is that it has all this depth and everything to it, but it doesn't affect your height at all. Like, you won't sink into it. So it's very smooth still. And hopefully the villagers won't tweak out on it. That's probably the only thing I'm really worried about. But let's get these brick floors installed really quickly. All right, here are our floors all fancily installed. Look at that. Look at that. I like how this looks. We got a lot of texture going on, and I decided to kind of keep it kind of blobby. I really like the blob look in terms of like randomizing. So each brick has its own texture instead of it being like, you know, putting instead of putting like 3 different blocks all in one brick texture, I decided to kind of make it each brick is individually kind of randomized. Although I kind of want to change this one right now. I'm kind of looking at it and it feels a little off. I think we'll change that one to, oh, what if we did a mossy brick right here? Now, just to show you guys how I'm doing this pattern, it's simply a 3 by 2, and then stairs on all the corners, and then you gotta make sure you stand directly diagonal from that corner block, or else it won't place properly. But look at that. Yeah, I think the green is a nice breakup. We'll maybe even add a green right here. There we go. Okay. How's that feel? Oh, yeah, that's way better. Let's get a little aerial shot. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Honestly, this makes me want to extend this whole pattern out a little bit more further this way. And maybe we have this whole brick pattern kind of exist on this whole, like this flat level here. All on this level will be that sort of brick texture. I think that makes sense, and also would kind of establish like a really solid foundation for all these houses on the ground level. But I think especially from a distance, this looks so sweet. Yeah, this looks really cool. So we can continue that pattern over there a little bit later, but I want to work on these houses. These houses I'm really excited to work on because I think they'll look so sweet, especially like when we get some height in here and they got all the different roof colors and everything. Oh, I'm so excited for that. So for these houses, we're going to add a lot of variation to like their height, the roofs, maybe even the roof shape. But for the most part, the actual color of the building is going to stay white, you know, kind of stick with the whole white bridge theme and like the other house we made over there. I think that's all the variation I'm really going to do. I think it's going to stick to like the spruce wood, calcite slash diorite slash white concrete powder kind of texturing. You know, I might switch up like the windows and stuff, but it's gonna like the main buildings are gonna stay the same color, and the roofs will be most of the color differentiation. Big word I can't freaking say, but you know what I mean. All right, whoa, oh my gosh. You wanna do the transition with me, Iron Golem? All right, guys, let's get ready for a little montage. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the montage. All right, coming through the path, here is the first little trace of our village, of the White Bridge Village. Oh my gosh, I love how this looks. It looks so sick. I love how these buildings are all stacked up next to each other, and even like this guy's kind of like intersecting with this other building here, and the roofs are colliding, and we got all the different roof colors. I went kind of crazy with them, I'm not gonna lie. And I didn't make it to these ones, all right? There is a hole, giant hole here. But right now, I'm pretty satisfied with the progress I made. Oh, I'm absolutely loving how this all looks. Oh, look at this angle right here. I think it looks so sweet. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with how it looks. All right, it's time to go into a little bit of cheaty cam because I want to talk about some of the detailing I did in this whole village here. So of course we got the classic brick variant that we did over there. We kind of brought it over here just because I like how it looks, and it's a really fun texturing process with those ones. Then we got a little dark oak one here, not too crazy, just some dark oak slabs, using some spruce wood, and then as the lighter block using dark oak, because ironically, dark oak is actually lighter than, or maybe less desaturated, or let's go with less saturated. So dark oak wood is actually less saturated than spruce, so it kind of works as like the lighter toned block in the palette there. So it's actually dark oak, spruce, and then dark oak again. So moving on to this roof, this is actually one of my favorite roofs that I did in this whole village. It's actually one of the first ones I made, and it was very much a struggle. We're using a lot of blue wool and blue concrete powder, and of course a little lapis blocks because they look pretty bricked up. And then of course we have a nice little ridge of, whoa, hey man, I was immersed. Anyways, we have these tube coral blocks, and from a distance, they actually look like tiles. Like, they look really sick. It's a nice bright color and it stands out from the rest, but it still is like the same hue as the other like blue blocks. So I think it looks super cool. And we have a little hint of these glazed terracotta blocks here just because, I know, I think it was a nice little breakup, a little darker spots. It's a bit different of a roof design than all the others with it being a bit more splotchy on these roofs, and this one's very like tiled and road. So I think we'll do a few more of this kind of style roof. The only issue is all the other coral blocks are very bright. So we got red, which is super, like the red on the coral blocks is super bright. And then same with the pink and the magenta, but I think the yellow horn coral, I think it's called, we can use that in a future roof and kind of copy this design we did, because I think that'll work really well with all the other yellow variants. Moving on, we have a little bit of a smaller building kind of shoved in this, in between these two right here. And we got a nice deep slate tile roof. We'll be probably using that one a few more times because especially with a blackstone gradient, we go from blackstone, then we go to tile, brick, and then regular cobbled deep slate. Nice and classic. And on this building right here, it's kind of hard to see. I think this might be the best angle. Kind of like right here. Yeah. So we have an orange roof here, and I'm really happy with this orange roof too. We got the classic acacia and red sandstone. They work so well together. And of course, a little bit of stripped acacia right there in the back, just to break up the repetitive texture of the planks, and I think that looks super sweet. And our last roof design that we have over here is our green roof, and I'm pretty okay with this one. It's kind of tough because green, there's not a lot of green variants in this game, but I think I managed to kind of work that out pretty well. So we have bamboo blocks as like our highlight for the splotchiness, the kind of the splotchy design that we did over there, and then we transition into the green concrete powder, moss, and then our darkest block, quote unquote, is the wool here. It's technically not the darkest block in this palette, it's technically the moss, but it's more saturated, so it kind of comes off a little bit darker. It's kind of like, maybe I'm flipping that in my head, and maybe it should be the other way around, but I do like how this looks with the green splotches being kind of the darkest, the green wool. Enough about the roofs, though. I kind of want to talk about some of the like what do you call this part? Like, I guess kind of the roof, like maybe the second floor of most of these buildings. So I wanted to do something different for all of them because it would get really boring if they're all white. It would be very repetitive. So we did a few of them with just the solid brown mushroom blocks, and these just look amazing, I think. Super awesome. And then on the deep slate roof here, we actually did the inside texture of those mushroom blocks because it has like a nice like spongy, really a light brown texture, like, or I guess tan technically, that nothing else in this game really has. Oak planks are probably the closest to that color. So I did the oak planks on this side, on the opposite side, and I think they have enough of a difference between each other to really stand out from each other and not feel the same wishy-washy. And then this one, we just went with the nice classic white, and we actually went with quartz instead of bone blocks. We used bone blocks in the other building out over there, and I decided to do quartz because I just wanted to make it a little different. And our last building is this one. We're gonna have to go into cheetah cam to get a nice angle of this one. I use birch because I think birch kind of matches the whole theme of like the spongy, the planks, and then the birch is a little bit lighter than the planks, but a little bit lighter as well than the tan right here. I think it looks super sweet. And oh yeah, also this building is not white. I just wanted to make it different. I was getting bored of placing all these white textures all the time and doing the same pattern. And this one we did a little tough cobblestone, a little bit of white in there. See, I still got a little bit of white, but that's like the only white block in this entire lower section there for that. But that's pretty much it. This is the whole village. No, not the whole village. I bet I got you with that. No, there's gonna be so many more buildings. So for the rest of the village, we're gonna continue this whole brick pattern, kind of bringing it all out, keeping this layer like the foundation, like I said earlier. And then we're gonna be putting more buildings around the pillars. And then, so this will kind of be like the main section of the city, like the downtown, if you will be this little street, this corridor. It's so fun to run through. It looks so sweet. So we're gonna continue these types of buildings into like this red building, and this orange one, and maybe one or two more over right here. But the rest of it's gonna be pretty open, and we're gonna have a different style of like medieval buildings that are kind of look a little bit maybe poorer looking, like not as fancy and like over detailed, maybe not as much like spruce wood and like these fancy like colorful roofs. They'll be a bit more uniform and a bit more dull, but I think that'll work really well to kind of make the city still feel like a city, but not like all the same buildings and super, super colorful. I just want kind of this one big patch, and maybe a little bit over here too, of colorfulness. And then on the outskirts, it's gonna be where like the poorer peasants are living, like kind of like where this is right here. All right, that was a lot of talking. So of course, if you want to learn more about the design philosophies I had in this, I went through a lot of them, but you know, just in terms of actually building the build, make sure to become a channel member, because there will be a channel member video describing all of the building techniques I used, and like a little bit of behind the scenes for this episode. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for watching towards the end of the video. I really do appreciate it as always. And of course, if you're new, make sure to get subscribed, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.